Local decisions, serving our friends and customers, and investing in the communities that we serve. Here for you yesterday, today, and tomorrow. Apex Bank of Camden, member FDIC, equal housing lender.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Operation 7570 on this Saturday morning, August the 6th, 2022. Whether you're listening to us on WRJB, WRJBradio.com, watching us on Facebook Live today, great to have you with us on this Saturday morning, and hope that your weekend has gotten off to a great start. And in the studios this morning, you may already recognize these young folks if you are watching on the Facebook Live feed this morning. This is our trustee-elect for Benton County as she won the post this past Thursday night in the August 4th election. This is trustee-elect Beverly Beal and her husband Ken Beal. Good morning, folks. Welcome to the program.
Good morning.
I appreciate y'all getting up, sharing some Saturday morning with us. Thank you so very much. And Beverly, first of all with you, congratulations.
Thank you, Flash. Excuse my voice. I don't exactly know why it's going in and out like this, but this is a humbling experience.
Now,
Flash.
you have been working on this at least a year and a half, and you announced early when it became apparent that Sherry, our incumbent trustee for the last 24 years, when it became apparent she was not going to seek re-election. Why did you seek this post? And, so long, get your name out there so early in advance.
Well, when I found out Sherry Beasley was retiring, first thing I did is I went to prayer, talked with Ken about it. We both prayed about it. I had a coworker, Donna, who said that would be for you. Prayed about it a little more, then decided that was a great opportunity for me. Being in the clerk's office for 23 years at that time, I saw it as a great way to continue serving my community just in a different capacity.
Well, let's talk about the lady that on September 1st will become the new trustee of Benton County, Beverly Beal. Let's have some background information on Beverly. People know your name, know you've been to the courthouse, but beyond that, give me some background about this young lady.
Well, I went to Camden Central High, graduated in 1987. My dad was Jerry Baker. Some may know him from Camden Police Department. He served as chief of police for many years back in the 80s. My mother's Peggy Baker. She was president of Tennessee Shell Company. That was in the 90s. Both have since passed. My husband's Ken Beal. We've been married for 19 years.
Wow.
19 years is a long time to put up with him. Long time to put up with him. We have 4 children. We have 6 grandchildren. Let's see. What else you need to know about me?
Well, let's just hear, since you mentioned Mr. Ken, and we appreciate Ken coming in today, and appreciate he's also in public service, works as a city policeman for the city of Camden, of course, for many years. Also a United Methodist minister out at Shiloh and Cowles Chapel United Methodist churches. So, Ken, give me some background on you, and let's just talk, how did you and Beverly, get together?
Oh, my goodness. Well, I was at one time, you couldn't tell now, but at one time I was very into being physically fit. I'd work out a lot, and I was into nutrition and things like that. And I went up to the clerk's office to talk with Beverly Ward. And I was talking to her about some nutrition. She was getting into a better nutrition. So I was bringing stuff up there, and we were going in the back room, and I was showing her, these meal preps and these things to do, to not just lose weight, but get in shape. Well, Beverly comes to the back room, and she's, interested, and she's talking, and I couldn't, if I would have walked out then, I would have never even, I couldn't explain anything about her. I didn't give her the second thought. And I was getting ready to leave, and as I was walking out the door, going in front of that desk that everybody has to stand in front of, I just glanced over to my left, and I said, "See y'all later," and she looked up and smiled, and when she did, from that point, it was like it was all over with. She just looked up and smiled, and I'm sure I'm probably not the only one that's been affected by that smile like that. So I went straight up to the florist, and it was the one that was over here next to Sonic at the time, Camden Florist, and I said, "I want to send some flowers to Miss Beverly that works up at the clerk's office." And the lady was just all bubbly, and she says, "Oh, well, which Beverly is it?" And I said, "What do you mean, which Beverly?" She said, "Well, there's 2 Beverlys up there." And I said, I don't know. All I know is that her name is Beverly. And she said, "Well, there's a Beverly Ward and a Beverly Baker." And I said, I think, yeah, it's Beverly Ward. And she just got all stone-faced and looked at me and she says, no. I said, what do you mean no? She said, I ain't sending flowers to her from you. And I said, why? She goes, because she's my friend and she's married. And I said, well, then it's not her, because the woman that I want to send flowers to, I know is not married. She goes, oh, well, that's Beverly Baker. So it started then. And then I remember I was, like then, as now, I was a police officer. And as you know, we don't make a whole lot of money. And I drove a Ford Taurus at that time. And when I got it, it was used. And she had dated an attorney who drove a BMW. Well, this attorney is also a friend of mine. He's a great guy, love him to death. So if he's watching, he'll get a kick out of this. But anyways, our first date, we double dated with another couple, and we were going down the road, and I felt a little intimidated, So I looked at her and I said, hey, you don't mind that we're driving in an undercover car, do you? And she goes, well, no, why would you say that? Is this an undercover car? I said, yeah. I said, it's actually a BMW disguised as a Ford Taurus. But anyways, as corny as that sounds, that was the beginning of our relationship, and that's pretty much been our relationship.
Yeah, and has it been a good fit? Well, obviously, as long as you've been married, but has it been a good fit, both of you working in public service as you do in your various jobs and, meeting the public? Has that been a good fit for both of you?
I believe that when you, and a lot of people think it's a cliche or maybe something, but I believe that God brings people together. And, her family, her dad being a police officer and me, it's like my whole life has been about serving other people. When I was 17, I quit high school and joined the military. And I did 2 tours in the military, and then when I got out and I got tired of, working up north where I was working, I come back down here where my family's from. My family's from Carroll and Benton County. And I come down here to be closer to my family on my dad's side. And while I was here, I had the opportunity to become a police officer. And then later on, as you know, the change happened in my life, and I became a preacher, and from there went to being a pastor. So, it seems like, to God and to my nation and to my community, there's always been something where God has put me into service. And I see the same thing in her, instilled by her parents. So yeah, it's a mix in there that's really.
I know when Ken come to me and he had told me sometimes, he'd said, I'm feeling the call to preach, and I thought to myself, ooh, that's going to be, a preacher's wife. That's going to be some big shoes to fill. So I thought, Lord, is this what we're supposed to do? And I just let it be. He came to me at the clerk's office one day. I was at work. He stood in front of me and he looked down at me, sitting at the desk. He looked at me, he said, I'm going to preach. And I looked up at him and I just said, okay. So that's what we do.
I was about 12 years old when I knew that I was going to be a preacher. I knew I was, I grew up in South Chicago because my dad was, like I said, he was from here, but he fought in World War II. And, or was in World War II. He was in the military during World War II. And he got out and went to job at Milan Arsenal. There was an explosion or something happened. It hurt him pretty bad. And because of the relationship between the military and the car manufacturers, they got him a job at Ford. So, he had me and my little brother. I'm number 12. My little brother's number 13 of all the kids. And when I grew up there, it was like I just had a draw for this, to be back here to where it's at. It was like Disneyland on vacation. So, it was a no-brainer when I decided to come down here and live.
Beverly, I'll get back to you about the trustee and the job coming up September 1. I promise I'll get back to you in just a moment. But
You're fine.
Ken, this thought runs into my mind. Do you get inspiration for your sermons maybe from some of your experiences as a police officer, and by the same token, by being a minister out with the fine folks at Cal's Chapel in Shiloh? Does that help you in your career as a police officer?
One of the biggest life lessons I've learned, and something I think everybody needs to understand more than anything else in life, is that the best people in the world make bad decisions. I make them, you make them, we all make bad decisions, and bad decisions don't make you a bad person. I've probably got as many or more friends that I've taken to jail than I work with at the police department. And there was a time when we would do work up at the Walmart for Christmas, and they wanted us all to take a test to become employees, even though we were working there just one day a year, and we all failed the test. Anybody that took the test that was a police officer failed it, and the reason why is because there's I was told the reason why is because there was a question on there that said, if you're caught stealing from the store, should you be given a second chance? And every police officer put yes, because we know more than anyone else how the best people in the world just get into situations where they make bad decisions, and that doesn't make them a bad person. I've also learned that when you, like in Matthew, when you read Matthew, Jesus says, "Be ye therefore perfect as your Father in heaven is perfect." And that used to bother me for a long time. I said, how can I be as perfect as God? And he's not talking to them about being saved, because he's saying, I want you now to be as perfect as God in heaven. And I come to realize that what we do when we read the Bible is we don't actually try to put ourselves in God's shoes and see things his way when we read. I know that he has, for my sake anyways, dumbed a lot of things down. But I've learned that we look at perfection differently than God does sometimes, because we think it's something that where there's nothing you can't do, that everything that you do is perfect and there's nothing you can't do. But actually, being a sports fan, you know that if you have a running back that can't be tackled, he's a perfect running back because he's going to score every single time. If you have a basketball shooter that can't miss a shot, he's going to make every shot. He's going to win you the game every time. So he's a perfect player. So knowing that God can't be tempted, knowing that God can't lie, that it's impossible for him to lie. And I've had people say, well, he could if he wanted to, he chooses not to. But the Bible says he can't. It's impossible for him to lie. It's impossible for him to stop loving us. I think he proved that by giving his son to die for us and rise. But, it's as much the things he can't do that makes him perfect as it is the things that he can do. And I also noticed that there's one place in the Bible where it talks about God talking to one person about being perfect, and that was Job. And if you look at the translation, it equals up to the translation in Matthew. And I thought, well, what made Job so perfect? He sinned at the very beginning of the chapter. He's sacrificing to God for himself and his family. And I got to thinking, well, wait a minute. When you want to know the true meaning of something in the Old Testament, parallel it with the New Testament, and vice versa, because you'll always find one story that fits another story. And it's like the Bible's a double-edged sword. When you read one side of the Bible, the Old Testament side, and the New Testament, you'll come together to the point that God's trying to make. And I thought, all right, well, Job is famous for being a great sufferer of the Old Testament. And I thought, who's the greatest sufferer of the New Testament? And that's Paul. And I found that they had something in common. Well, then I thought, well, wait, completeness is 3 in the Bible. So I thought, who's the greatest sufferer of all mankind? And that was Christ. And they all 3 had something in common. And what they had in common was that when Job's wife went up to him and said, give up on God and die, or curse God and die, give up on him, Job said no. And Paul said right before he was crucified, before he died, he said, I've finished my course. I've finished the race that God has put me here on earth to run. And the last words of Jesus was, it is finished. So I realized that in order to be perfect in anything, you just never give up. Our kids are going to mess up on us, but if we never give up on our kids, we're perfect parents. If your wife nags you and bothers you, that's okay. If your husband sits and watches football from all fall, that's okay. As long as you never give up on one another, you'll always be perfect.
Well, Beverly, speaking along those lines then, the past 18 months that you started the campaign, I know there were some challenging times, or there were some days when you thought, why am I doing this?
Oh, yeah.
Or did you ever just want to
yeah.
give up and not see it to the conclusion? Which is a great conclusion.
I don't think I ever said I wanted to give up. I just remember thinking, this is so hard. I was tired. I remember thinking that. I remember talking to Ken, and we'd pray together, and God opened so many doors for me at different times. He opened doors for us financially. He opened doors for us meeting people. he opened up doors for being at the right place at the right time. I would think of someone in the community that I knew was very influential, and I thought, oh, I need to really get that person, on my side. I'd pray about it, and I'd run right into them at Walmart, or they would come in the office, and I'd say, I need to talk to you later. They'd give me their phone number, whatever the situation was. And there were just many times, I'd look at Ken and I'd say, I don't think I'm doing enough. I need to be here. I need to be there. So yeah, you question your whole campaign. You do.
How challenging was it over the past 18 months to run a campaign, and at the same time you had duties with your regular job, your 8 to 4 job Monday through Friday, also during the time of COVID, and also responsibilities with the house, being a mother, being a wife? How challenging was it to balance your time with all these things that you had going on?
I'll tell you this, it was extremely challenging. You go to work from 8 to 4. When I got off, ran home, changed clothes, door to door. There were many days, we had to be somewhere to speak. We had to be at different types of meetings. And, I really applaud my opponents. Miss Rebecca, she has little ones, young little ones. And for her to go door to door and do what all she did, that was definitely had to have been a challenge. My youngest is a senior, so I don't have the little ones. But I did have my challenges. My husband, Ken, he has unbelievably stepped up, gave me the support. From signs to ideas. I also want to give a big shout out to One Stop Signs. They are the ones that did my signs. They were unbelievably helpful in a lot of my projects. And they just went above and beyond.
Well, a lot of things we did, everything we did local. If we spent money, we spent it local. Who was it that did your hats?
One Stop did my hats. Angie Pierce did my first design.
Angie Pierce did her first designs and some shirts, and then One Stop did hats and some signs. And
so we stayed local.
Yeah, and I thought that was a very unique situation that I'd never seen before in any of the campaigns that was done. But if you went to Eva, if you went to Big Sandy, if you went to Holiday, you had customized signs made for that particular community then.
Yeah, that was a blessing also. God laid that on our hearts. Ken, that we needed to address each community, because each community is very important. In my opinion, I feel like you've got Eva, Holiday, Big Sandy, Camden, all of these communities, each community has its assets. And I wanted to address that each community was very important to me.
Yeah, and a couple of times during the campaign, pictures were posted on Facebook, the challenges you've talked about. Ken ended up in the hospital a time or two with an injury then.
He did.
That wasn't the only injury.
Yeah.
And our son also.
Okay.
Yeah.
He was doing the same thing.
Did the same thing.
Of course, he had hair, so the incident wasn't near as bad as Ken's.
Yeah. But that surprised me. I've had more than a dozen people, I believe, come up and say, I've done the same thing. And I was like, really? I'm not the only one.
And with all the excitement of Thursday night down, and I appreciate you coming down and talking with us after the results were in down at the Election Commission office, but with all the excitement that day, we even forgot to mention that was actually your birthday. So happy birthday. Happy birthday.
Yes.
It was the most wonderful birthday present ever.
Well, I tell you, time's getting away from us, and I appreciate the conversation, but we need to take a break for our good friends at Apex Bank. When we come back, we're going to be talking more with Beverly Beal and to get into the duties and responsibilities of the trustee and what she's in store for starting September 1st. Stay with us.
For more than 85 years, Apex Bank of Camden has built a tradition of local people serving local people. Although there have been changes over the years, this one thing remains the same. Hometown people that are your friends serving you every day to meet your financial needs. We want to see you grow and prosper. And when you ever have a need, you'll get personal attention right here at home, not in some far-off corporate office. Number one in customer service. Apex Bank of Camden, Benton County's best bank, member FDIC, equal housing lender.
Welcome back this morning to Operation 7570, brought your way this morning by Apex Bank. And in our studios live today is the Trustee-elect for Benton County starting September 1st. This will be Beverly Beal and her husband Ken Beal that, everyone out watching us or listening to us on the radio, I think you know this couple and the things they do with the public, the things they love the community, no doubt about that, support a lot of different community events. And as we've mentioned, this young lady who has been up at the court clerk's office for the past 24 years. She's making the transition over to become our trustee. She's going to replace Sherry Beasley. Sherry's been there 24 years, and you started in the clerk's office about the time Sherry took over. And,
I think so.
What a history.
Yeah, I started in 98. Roseanne Ward hired me, and in 2006, Wanda took over, and been there ever since.
Well, let's just talk. We know that the trustees starting October the 1st, you start paying your property taxes, and we've got to do that. We're going to talk about that. But trustee's office is much, much more than that. So what are the duties and responsibilities of trustee?
The trustee is a lot more than just collecting property taxes, but I feel like that's the way most people relate to it. The trustee's office, they receive in the funds of the county from several of the different county offices. We also disperse the funds and keep them in the different revenue accounts. They also, the idle fund investments. That's something I'm going to look hard into. I'd like to possibly create some type of committee, an investment committee, to give ideas on the best way to invest those idle funds, because I would like to see bring in a little more money for the community. That's one thing I want to look at. I have several different ideas. I've got to get in there and learn a lot of that. So that's one idea I have as far as the idle funds is I would like to get a committee together to discuss what are my different options. Of course, that is the trustee's duty. So that's one thing I want to research and study really hard. I do have some other ideas. I want to talk about the tax relief program. I don't know how many people actually know about the property tax relief program that's through the state for the elderly and the disabled and the disabled veteran homeowners. So those are things I'm going to put out there. One thing I'm seriously thinking about doing for a few Saturdays when I first get in office is establishing some places in the communities, such as Big Sandy Holiday, Eva, temporarily for a few weeks, to allow people to come in. Maybe I could set up at a church for a few hours to come in, and I can talk with them about this tax relief program, see if it applies to them, help them fill out the application, and help them to understand what they might be benefiting from this tax relief program.
We've had the tax relief program for several years, I know that, and maybe there's a lot of people out there, of course, there are people that utilize it each and every year. They know about it, but there's probably a segment of population out there, Beverly, that really don't know what this property tax relief program is all about.
I think so. I think there may be some that are not aware of it, just not simply because it's just, they haven't seen it, or so that's what I want to do. That's one of the things I want to do is maybe just find a place, rent-free, a church, any place that would allow me to come in and just set up for a morning for a few Saturdays in a row and talk with people about the program and help them fill out the applications and bring awareness to it.
Yep. Now, Apex Bank, we just about 5 minutes ago had our sponsor, Apex Bank, with their fine broadcast, their fine information out there. The trustee's office has to have a strong relationship with Apex Bank and the other financial institutions within. Tell me about the relationship with trustee's office and banks, financial institutions.
I know a lot of the banking presidents, banking officials, things like that. We have we don't know each other on a business level, but we're going to get to know each other. But they're all great people, a lot of excellent people that I've come to know, especially through the campaign. I've been in and out of the banks quite a bit, so I'm looking forward to that, getting to know them even better.
Go
You know,
ahead, Ken.
I
Go ahead.
wanted
Sure.
to add that, one of her opponents, Rebecca Lusk, for many years worked directly with the trustee's office.
Yes.
And Sherry Beasley. And that'll be a great asset for us because before the election, we didn't know her. And she knew Tamala, but I didn't know Tamala. But
Well,
since
I knew
that
Rebecca,
time,
but I know her better now.
yeah, but since that time, I mean, I've got to know Rebecca and her husband and Tamala, and they are great people. And, she was
They
talking
are.
about how hard it would be for us, and we know how hard it was for Rebecca to run with the family and everything. But, I got to give a shout out to her husband. Because when she was at events and doing things, he had kids in his arms. Some people might not notice that, but he stepped up as well. As I'm sure Marty did for Tamala. And people, they have problems with health. As I know, she was sick at one time, and Rebecca and other things. And you have family members that step up. So. I think it's going to be a great benefit for her that Rebecca's in the bank and that we have such a good relationship with other people in the banks.
And Ken and Beverly, as you know, whether you're an incumbent running for re-election or whether you're a newcomer seeking an office for the first time, people probably don't realize there is a commitment and all the things that go into a campaign beyond, just like you said a while ago, Beverly, just beyond door to door and the events you've got to go to. There's a commitment. You still got that home life to take care of.
You do.
And a regular job.
You do. You have to have a family that supports it. So that's one thing before you step into a campaign, you've got to get your family on board. Like I say, we talked about what Ken did. My daughter, was the dishes, keeping the house, straight and this and that. My nephews, they stepped up with the boat race. One of my nephews, he came in first in our homemade boat race. We had a lot of fun along the way. We really did. And I had so many family members that really supported me and helped me any way they could. Our son David, he was there for us, helping with signs, whatever we needed. Yes.
Sherry, we're losing a lot of experience there, and I know she has already been by your side, and congratulated you, know that, of course, but we're losing a lot of experience there. But at the same time, you have some personnel within that office, that know some things are going to be helping you very well, I think, too.
Yes. So Friday morning, I went to them, and Sherry was very, very congratulatory. She was, bless her heart, she's very emotional. She said that sort of finalized her retirement, that it is here. And her biggest concern were her girls in that office. She has a love and a commitment to those girls. They're like family. And so that was one of her main concerns was leaving her girls. And I hope that she understands that I love those girls as well, and I will treat them like family also, and she's welcome anytime.
Yeah.
Anytime.
And, of course, as you well know, you're making the transition 2 doors down, and some aspects of the office, but I imagine between now and September 1st, you'll be doing some more training to get even more used to the office?
Yes, that's what Sherry and I talked about. I also talked about that with my current boss, Wanda. And what we've agreed upon is I'm going to kind of run double duty for a little while, see how that works. And Wanda's willing to work with me, which she has throughout this campaign, considerably been there for me. So we're going to see how that works and learn a lot.
I don't know for sure, but between now and September 1, might you be going to maybe some orientation for new county officials, through CTES, that
Yes.
arm of the University of Tennessee Institute of Public Service, to learn some things and some things that will be a benefit?
The first one's coming up August 24th in Franklin, and it's they call it co-op. I can't remember what those county officials. It's not COAT, but it's orientation.
Yes, orientation
program.
So,
So I'm looking forward to that. So I think Wanda's going because they also have a county clerk's orientation as well, and I believe she's going too. So we're looking forward to that. I'm really looking forward to learning a lot. There's going to be a lot of new trustees coming in, and I can't wait. It's exciting. It really is.
Yeah. Well, as you well know, there's a longevity in offices at the courthouse. Trustee, as I'm thinking back, I go back to the days when Mr. Ralph Walker was the trustee. Then here comes G.W. Patterson, then Sherry. So, you could be set up, for a long, long time.
Flash, I hope that is the outcome. I really do. I'm going to give everything I've got to my county. I've always give and helped any way I can as in the county clerk's office. I'm going to do the same thing as trustee. I'm going to work hard. Yeah.
Now, 3 outstanding candidates, as we've talked about, that sought the office of trustee, good girls, Rebecca and Tamala, as you well know. And, of course, they had their supporters out there as well. And, they supported them, and that's well and good. And that's what that's what the election process is all about. But I know,
Yes.
You're going to serve those people as well.
Yes. I thank the people that voted for me. I worked very hard for them. I will also work very hard for those who did not vote for me. That's what it's all about. You vote for who you want to be in office. Those that did not vote for me, I will work diligently and work very hard for those as well. And I thank everyone that did come out and vote in our community.
And in case anybody wants to talk to you between now and September 1, even when you get into the office, your door is always going to be open.
Always open. Yeah. I'm at home.
Transparency.
Yeah. I'm here. You can find me pretty much anywhere between churches and home and
I think
office.
I think if we had to pick the biggest problem, and this is going to sound a little silly since it's an elected office, the biggest problem we faced was politics.
Yeah.
They've gotten so polarized, and people asked her, why are you running independent? Why aren't you committing to Democrat? Why aren't you committing to Republican? Why are you running independent? And we sat down and talked about it, and we realized, if you're somebody who, you love history, you love American history, and you hold on to the values of the Star Spangled Banner and the Pledge of Allegiance, and you believe in a family life and the sanctity of the home, you're conservative. And I think every single person is conservative in that way, in many other ways. If you're somebody who believes in the Second Amendment, and if you're somebody who believes in other things, then you're liberal. And also, if you believe in taking society and moving it forward and helping mankind with coming up with new things, and you're progressive. So I think each and every one of us has a little conservative, a little liberal, and a little progressiveness in us. It's just gotten so polarized that it's made it really hard sometimes for people to be in politics for that reason.
And everybody, when you're in elected office, I think you have a responsibility and a duty to serve the population, and regardless what your political affiliation, party affiliation might be.
Exactly.
I agree totally. That's I did have some people ask me, why didn't you run on the, whichever ticket? And I just explained, what Ken and I talked about. And I'm for each individual, every single person. I'm not a politician, but I know I'm in politics now.
And you and Ken, you're still going to be out. You've been elected to the office, but you're still going to be out at all these community events.
Oh yeah. We're big into the community. Ken's all the time doing things for the different sports, collecting. For the businesses are so giving.
Oh my goodness.
For all the schools, and it's
I'm
just
gonna
amazing.
tell you, Flash, I know you know this, but there's a lot of people that are watching that probably don't know it. But the businesses here in Benton County are some of the most charitable and
It's amazing.
giving businesses I've ever seen in my life. I go around each year and I collect money for a certain area of the schools that need help. This year it's going to be for the volleyball team and the cross country team, the track team. And I always get the same response. Come see me next year. Come see me next year. I want to give again. I want to give again. I had Thomas Rousey call me on the phone. I didn't even think of Thomas Rousey. He's an small independent businessman here in Benton County. He calls me on the phone and says, Ken, I hear you're collecting money for, I think at that time it was the baseball team. I said, yes, I am. He says, I want to contribute. And I said, okay. He said, when can I get with you? And I said, well, whenever it's convenient. He drove to my house, and I won't say how much it was because he never wants anybody to know. but it was an extremely large donation to the baseball team.
And so one thing I make sure of is that we keep up with who did what. So I keep up with this for him. So that's where my part is.
Yeah.
He goes out. He's a good talker.
Well, that gets back, of course, to your experience with Wanda's office up there. You know, where you got to keep up with the monies,
Oh,
how
yeah.
they come in, how they flow out, and you gotta have everything ready when those auditors roll around.
That's exactly right.
Yep.
You know, I've been handling county funds for 24 years, and we always come out on top. You know.
By the way, when tax season rolls around, October 1st, when those property taxes first become payable, Beverly, will people have to pay their total amount when they come in at one time, or is there a way to split? You know, because I know we're in financial hardships right now for a lot of people. So do you have to pay all that amount at one time, or can you split it up?
What I'm hoping to implement, I apologize for my voice, it's going in and out. What I'm hoping to implement is where you can pay monthly, which I think Sherry has online. You can come in periodically and pay some on it now, which is still possible. What I would also like to implement is ACH payments, where you can automatically have it deducted from your account. It's totally voluntary. It's not going to be mandatory by any means. So you can have so much taken out of your account per month, so that when the time comes for your tax payment to be paid, you will have a large portion of it, or at least some portion of it, paid down, so there's not that huge burden at tax time. So that's one of the things that I'm looking at implementing is ACH payments for those who would like that.
Ken, I appreciate that, and we have a few minutes left, but Ken, let me just ask you this. How's things going at Camden PD right now?
Oh, it's going well. You know, it's the COVID has hit us, you know, and it continues to hit us because we're out there in the public. So, you know, it's my sympathy goes out to George and Mike, because they're constantly trying to find somebody to fill in, and when they can't, they fill in. And there's been some people that have put a whole lot of time and effort in helping out and stepping up. So, you know, appreciate them. But yeah, it's going well.
We've had some incidents in recent weeks involving fentanyl, maybe being on some money that's been picked up, and you know, and I know it's even affected your own family. So, what's the answer here, and what can you tell the public right now how careful they need to be about money laying down on a sidewalk or parking lot?
Well, definitely. You know, we need to tell the adults, like we used to tell our kids about gum on the street. Don't pick it up. You know, but it's hard not to, especially in the times like today where gas is going up to $5 a gallon, you know, and you see a $10 or $50 bill laying down there. Now, there's some different scenarios in question. One is that when they use the drug, they roll up the dollar to snort with it, or they'll use the dollar and fold the drugs up in the dollar, because they thought rarely do police officers unfold money to see if there's anything in there. And then it's lost, you know, that they accidentally drop it, or, you know, pulling something out of their pocket. So it's not an intentional act. But when you have 3 weeks of this happening, unintentional seems to go out the window. Another one is that people said that there were incidences where they would purposely put something on a bill and lay it out, so that when somebody picked it up, if they would get sick and pass out, they would go over there and rob them. Or if it was a child, they would abduct the child. And let's face it, the one thing that would attract every person, no matter how old they were or what their origins are, is money. You know, everybody wants money. You can lay candy down there, and there are people that won't pick up candy, but money they will. I'm really hoping that it's not intentional, because if it is, you know, we're dealing with some wicked people. But then again, the same type of person that would take a shotgun into an elementary school is the same type of person that would do that to things and throw them over into a preschool playground. We just got to be really careful about what we do and how we handle things. And if anyone's suspicious about something that they find, bring it up to the police department. I know Kenny Christopher and George are working hard at, and Mike Scott are working hard. I know they've ordered test kits and they've ordered Narcan, and they're preparing for this. A lot of people don't think so, but when we have something that hits like that, they prepare themselves. So if you have something, you want to get it tested, you want to see if it's tainted, bring it up there, and they'll test it.
Yeah, and I know you and the other officers, there have been instances where you've actually had to use the Narcan.
Oh, yes. And, even back several years ago, I remember I went to a home, we got a call, and I can't say names or things like that, but this young man, probably wasn't even 30 years old yet, was blue. And I didn't have Narcan at the time. I wasn't even really familiar with fentanyl at the time, but my partner, China Boyd, she ran to her car, she recognized it, she grabbed her fentanyl, her Narcan went in there, and she Narcaned him, and when he was leaving, he was breathing, but it was a struggled breath. They did say it was from fentanyl and heroin, and it wasn't an overdose. Thank God she was there, and that she knew, that she was familiar through the training that she had that I didn't get, that I have now gotten, to know what to do. Because it was something that was still pretty new. But lately now, it's like everywhere you turn around, there's something happening. And there's this thing going around where people are saying, well, it really can't get through your pores, But I've seen where deputies have reached into a purse and were doing something and it just passed straight out and had to be Narcan. You talked about personal. Our daughter picked up a bill, and and I don't know exactly how it went, but she waved it in the face of her friend, sort of taunting, hey, look what I found, and you didn't find it, I found it first. And he took a breath, and when he did, he immediately became sick. He had to help hold himself up, and eventually passed out and hit the ground, hurting his knee, and having to be taken to the hospital. It was probably 20 minutes later, as they were working on him at the Walmart parking lot and checking him out, the deputies noticed my daughter was sitting there with her eyes closed, and when they got her attention, her eyes were open and they were asking her questions that she couldn't answer. And then when they took her vital signs, they were out of whack, so much that they went ahead and started Narcaning her and took them both to the ER. And the next day, that next night, the young gentleman that was with my daughter said that he still wasn't feeling well. He still wasn't feeling right. So, you could say that it won't do this or won't do that, but, obvious sickness and vital signs and a doctor's, statements, it is real. And it will hurt you, and you need to be as careful as you can be.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to give Beverly the last word in just a moment, Ken, but as we talk about activities involved here, and as you and George and Kenny, the sheriff, have pointed out from time to time, never be afraid to report anything to law enforcement. If you see something that looks the least amount suspicious, should or not, err on the side of caution and report something.
Yes, you'd be surprised how many of the most dangerous and violent people that were sought after were found because of a taillight, or because they were suspicious and somebody called and said, I just feel like something ain't right here. I mean, you gotta have a lot of common sense in what you're doing. There's a lot of homeless people that, you see them sleeping on the side of the road in a sleeping bag. You pretty much know they're homeless, but we've had times where people have called that in, and we checked on them, and their health wasn't very well at the time. So, yeah, if you see something, report it, and let us just, people think that we don't like to be bothered, but I'd rather have something to do than sit in the car for 12 hours and do nothing.
All right. Well, thank you for being here today. Beverly, I'm going to give you the last word. And as you told Mike Weatherford a few weeks ago when he was on his show, look over. We don't have a camera 2 or a camera 3, but look over right there where we've got the iPad, the camera looking at you, and tell the people a closing thought as you get ready to embark on a brand new career.
I'm really excited for this new challenge in my life. I look forward to serving you. I know a lot of you, and if you need me for anything, just call me, come see me, come to my house. It doesn't matter. My door is open. I want to be very transparent, as what Ken said a minute ago. I'm very humbled as this election, the results came in. I thank you for those who voted for me. And again, I will work very hard for those who did vote for me and those who did not vote for me. I thank my opponents for running a very good campaign. They are special people. They were a class act, as I've seen people say about them. This whole campaign has been a great, great experience for me, and I thank you, Benton County.
Well, anytime we can help you in your new office beginnings up there, you know where we're called on. Any information you want to give out, feel free to call us, Luke up here, myself, of course, and Ken, you're always welcome, and we're looking forward to football.
Oh, I'm definitely looking forward to football, and you are a very humble man, and I know you don't like it when I do it, but I got to say, you're very impressive, and it's a privilege for me to be there, and I really appreciate the fact that you've allowed me to partner up with you during football.
Well, we appreciate those kind words, and we're looking forward to 2022. Good luck to the football team. Good luck to all our sports teams as they embark on a new 2022-23 season. Good luck to all our students in all Benton County schools as the new school year is still relatively young. Ladies and gentlemen, that's our program, Operation 7570 today. Thanks to Beverly and Ken for being with us. Thanks to our sponsor, Apex Bank. Hope you have a great day. We'll see you next Saturday morning.
Apex Bank of Camden